We were snowed in at the ski lodge when someone cut the power and said, "No one gets out alive until one of you confesses." Rachel had planned after what he did, and the words hung in the freezing air while Henry's face crumbled. The intercom crackled to life, and Rachel's voice came through calm and controlled, giving us exactly 10 minutes to make our decision. She added that Oliver's shoulder was still bleeding pretty badly, and shock could kill someone just as easily as a bullet could, her tone almost clinical, like she was explaining a medical fact. Rachel said if Henry came outside to face her, she'd tell us where she'd parked a snowmobile that could get Oliver to the main road, and a hospital. But if Henry refused, we'd all freeze to death together in the lodge while she watched from outside where it was warmer. I looked over at Oliver, who was barely conscious now, his face so pale it looked gray in the green emergency lighting, and I knew we were running out of time in multiple ways at once. I started looking around the lodge more carefully, trying to understand how Rachel had been watching and listening to us this whole time, and that's when I noticed something weird about the smoke detector on the ceiling. I dragged a chair over and climbed up to examine it closer, and my stomach dropped when I found a tiny camera lens hidden in the plastic casing, so small I almost missed it even when I was looking right at it. I called the others over and showed them what I'd found, and the realization hit all of us at the same time that Rachel had cameras everywhere, that she'd been watching our reactions and listening to our conversations during this entire nightmare. She'd seen every moment of our fear and panic and guilt, had watched us confess and argue and turn on each other, and suddenly the scope of her planning became terrifyingly clear. Scarlett immediately started searching the kitchen and found another camera tucked into the corner of a cabinet, positioned to see the whole room. Elena checked the bathroom and discovered one hidden in the air vent, and we all stood there staring at each other as we understood that Rachel hadn't just set up this confrontation tonight on impulse. She'd been studying us for who knows how long, learning our patterns and schedules, watching us live our normal lives while we thought she was dead and buried, and she'd waited for the perfect moment to strike when we'd all be together and isolated. The realization was both completely terrifying and somehow impressive in a sick way, because it took serious commitment and planning to pull off something this elaborate. Walker went back to the smoke detector camera and carefully removed it from the ceiling, examining the equipment with the focused attention he usually saved for his engineering projects. He recognized it immediately as professional surveillance gear, the kind that cost thousands of dollars and required technical knowledge to install and operate correctly. Walker said Rachel must have spent months saving up money to buy all this equipment, and she'd obviously learned serious technical skills to set it up without anyone noticing, which meant her revenge wasn't just impulsive rage or a breakdown. He said this was calculated justice, planned and executed with precision, and somehow that distinction mattered in a way I couldn't quite explain. This wasn't a girl who'd snapped and gone crazy with grief. This was someone who'd spent an entire year preparing to hold us accountable for what we did, and there was something almost respectable about that level of determination, even though I was terrified. Henry was hyperventilating in his corner, taking rapid, shallow breaths that made his whole body shake, and despite everything he'd done, I felt a flicker of sympathy for him watching him fall apart like that.